So here we begin to look at some of the transformations, some of our basic functions. The first ones we look at are translations. Okay? Those occur when we do some addition or subtraction to our functions. So we can see these three examples. I have some addition and subtraction. We want to see what happens to the graph. Okay. So in each of these, I'm going to start with the basic function, try to describe what's happening, and then get a new domain and range. Okay. So for the first one, this is clearly starting out as the squaring function, y equal to x squared. That's my basic function. Okay, I know that to be a parabola with the vertex at the origin. What transformation occurs when I change y equal to x squared to y equal to the quantity x minus 3 squared? Look, and I'm changing x. The addition or subtraction, in this case the subtraction is happening before you square. So it happens to x, so it'll be a horizontal shift. The question is then, does it go left or right? And again, keep in mind it's a little bit counterintuitive, but you need to think, where is the new 0? So here, the origin is at 0. And where would 0 be here? When x is 3. So you shifted right 3 units. And you should check that with the graph. Okay. And then part C, remember we have domain and range. So our original function, y equal to x squared, the domain is all real numbers. The range, remember, is 0 to infinity. So for our new function, because we shifted right, only the domain might change, not the range. Range would be up or down. The domain gives you the x values. Well, it was all real numbers, so even if you shift it right 3 units, it will still be all real numbers. Okay. Remember, the horizontal shift here right cannot change the range. Okay. Second one, we're clearly starting with the absolute value function. And again, what transformation is occurring? Well, again, we have addition, so this is a translation. So we're down to up, down, left, or right. The addition occurs after I take the absolute value, so it'll affect the outputs, the y values. So this will be up or down. And again, this will take all my outputs and increase them by 1, which will move your graph up 1 unit. So again, for the domain range question, first we need to think about what the domain and range was for the original function. Absolute value function has domain all real numbers. Again, range 0 to infinity. Okay. What about our new function? We're going to move up 1 unit. So vertical movement does not affect the domain. The range again moves up 1 unit. So instead of starting at 0, it will start at 1. And then the third one here, we're starting with the square root function as our basic function. We have one addition and subtraction, so we'll have a couple of shifts here. Again, anything happens before you square root is happening to the x. So that's a horizontal shift, left or right. The minus 4 comes after the square rooting, so this will affect the y's, the outputs. So this will be up or down. So again, for this one, the plus 3, you have to think, where did the 0 move? Okay, so again, what will be acting as our new 0? If I let x be negative 3, that's how I get 0. So I move back to negative 3. So that's a shift left 3 units. We have another shift here. So the minus 4, remember, comes after. It'll take all the y values that come out of here and move them down 4 units. Okay. And then again, for our domain and range, for our original function, square root of x, domain is 0 to infinity, range is 0 to infinity. So for our new function, the square root of x plus 3 minus 4, then we move left 3, that's the domain moving, left 3. Range moves down 4, so we'll start at negative 4. A couple other questions we can ask range. is you might be asked to write the function itself. So here a description is given. You have a square root function, which we know to be y equal to the square root of x. How do I rewrite this to have it shift down 4 units? Well, again, down means after the root, so it's a vertical movement. So nothing will happen until after I square root, and then again, down 4 will be a minus 4. Okay. Number 2 has the cubing function, so y equal to x cubed. How do I shift it left 7 units? Well, again, that's a horizontal shift. So something happens to the x before I cube it. Okay, if I want to go left 7, negative 7 is my new 0. So if I write x plus 7, right, that makes negative 7 the new 0. And then I went left 7 units. Okay. And then finally for this last one, we have the squaring function. And 2 shifts here. We want to go down 2 and left 3. So something again happens before I square it and after I square it. Okay. Remember the x is horizontal, so that's the left right. Again, if I want to go left 3, I need to go back to negative 3 to be my new 0. So again, if I write x plus 3, negative 3 is acting as my new 0, and that's 3 units left. And then to shift down 2. Alright, and then one more type of question you might see is if you're given a graph, if you can identify what function it came from in the translation that occurred. Okay. So in this first one, we want to identify what the basic function was. Well, this is our parabola, so this is clearly coming from y equal to x squared. Okay. But it moved over 3 units. Okay, so normally we would expect the vertex to be at the origin. It moved to the right 3 units. All right. So again, the basic function is the squaring function. The shift that occurred was it moved right 3 units. So again, our new 0 is here at 3. And so something happens before we square it. So 3 has to act as the new 0. So if I write x minus 3, we have the new 0 at 3. Okay. And then similarly for number 2, this v-shaped we should know right away to be the absolute value function. Okay. It again moved. We expect that corner to be at the origin. It moved left 2 and down 1. Okay. So we describe that shift. Left 2 units, down 1 unit. Okay. How do we write that? Well, again, 2 shifts occurred. One happens before I absolute value, the other one happens after. So again, the horizontal is what happens to x. How do I go left 2? I put a plus 2, because again, negative 2 is acting as our new 0. And then afterwards, after I absolute value, I shift down 1.